insurmountable for the rest of the LPF. Those chasing River will be praying for a bit of an upset tonight, and Instituto have their own motivation, boosted by the news today, the reduced number of relegations. The danger is still there, and they're up against an unchanged and formidable Riverside. Franco Armani in goal, the back four of Herrera, Gonzalez Perez, Diaz and Casco. Alejandro, De La Cruz, Barco, Nacho Fernandez in the midfield. Solari floating out wide, joining the attack, and leading goal scorer Lucas Beltran leading the line. Nacho Fernandez and Pablo Solari, one yellow card away from suspension. A couple of big names back on the bench as well tonight for River, but having to make do with a place on the bench. Instituto also unchanged from a game 10 days ago, a 1-1 draw against Racing. Roffo in goal, Franco, Mosovic, Alacon and Coda in defence. Linares and Lodico holding, Graciano, Watson and Santiago Rodriguez making up the rest of that midfield. Rodriguez off the left-hand side, and then Adrian Martinez wearing the number 9 through the middle. So match day 21 here in the LPF, already up and underway, and we've already had some significant results. Yesterday, Estudiantes and San Lorenzo playing out a 1-1 draw. Central Córdoba and Gimnasia also sharing the points 0-0 in Santiago del Estero. Earlier this evening, another defeat for Vélez Sarsfield, in real danger this season. They lost 2-1 away to Tigre. Currently underway, or currently with about 12 minutes remaining, Racing 1-0 up against Barracas Central. River against Instituto coming up. Godoy Cruz hosting Boca a little bit later on tonight. And then 2 games on Friday. Huracan versus Newell's. Argentinos Juniors taking on Defensa y Justicia. On Saturday at 5, Independiente in Santa Fe to play Unión. Lanús take on Talleres at 8 o'clock, and then on Sunday it's Arsenal versus Platense, Rosario Central against Colón, Atlético Tucumán are in Junín to play Sarmiento, and then the last game of the round on Monday evening sees Belgrano host Banfield. Well, the table looks like this, and as I said, River's lead is looking ominous for the rest. 7 points clear of second place Talleres as they go into tonight's game. They will leave Talleres 10 points adrift before their game on Saturday with a win. Will that be too much for Latte? San Lorenzo have already missed the chance to momentarily close the gap with their draw against 4th place Estudiantes earlier in this round. Instituto starting the night in 21st on 22 points. And that news I was talking about earlier today about relegation. One relegation spot from this table, or from the annual table of which this will be part of, and the other one from the established average point system. So 2 opportunities to go down rather than 3, but Instituto very much in danger in both of those tables, so every point will count for the visitors. A great turnout as ever here at the Monumental, and these supporters very much enjoying themselves of late and feel as though they could be closing in on the title. We shall see if they can go a step further towards that tonight here against Instituto on match day 21. And as we wait for the teams to make their way out onto the pitch here, I can bring in our play-by-play commentator for the evening, and it's a pleasure to be alongside George Metellus for this one.
Thank you very much, Peter. Looking forward to this matchup here between Ríver Plate and Instituto, a side in Ríver Plate that is, as you mentioned before, looking to clinch the title. They can go to 10 points with a victory over Talleres, and historically they have dominated Instituto. In fact, River haven't lost in all competitions to Instituto since 1987. It's been a long time for the side from Córdoba, making the trip into the city of Buenos Aires, the Belgrano neighborhood, for this matchup at the newly renovated Mas Monumental. And it's a stadium right now that, with the new renovations, River Plate have been absolutely fantastic. 10 straight home wins in all competitions, 7 in the Liga Profesional. This is a massive task for Instituto to pick up at least a point and help their quest to avoid relegation. And the young fan wants Pablo Solari's shirt. I can understand that. Pablo Solari has been magnificent for Los Millonarios as a former Huracan manager. Diego Dabove looking on and hoping that his side could pull off what would be a historic victory. As I mentioned, they haven't beaten River since 1987. Quick math, that's what, 46 years, something like that. So 36 years, excuse me. So excuse public school education there. My math is not going to be that good, but It's the number on the back of Solari. There we go. So we will see what happens over the next 90 minutes. And Peter, you look at this matchup here and you say, well, River Plate are the favorites for sure, but in Argentine football, you just never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. As you say, hot favourites, not just historically speaking, but certainly how they're playing as well, and particularly here at home, coming into this one with a little bit of less of a rest than the rest of the LPF, like Instituto. They were playing over the international break, but rather ominously for Instituto, River in turn put in arguably one of their best performances under Martin Demichelis, a really strong, even if it was only 1-0 against Defensa Justicia on Saturday here at the Monumental, where it really could have been more than just one goal, and against the Defensa Justicia side who came into it as one of the other form sides in the league. So they certainly are a team that look formidable. I think it's going to take a lot, not just tonight for Instituto to pick up points, but for the rest of the LPF to wrestle back the advantage that River have got at the top of the table. But as you say, George, the reason we're here, the reason why everyone's tuning in, is because there's always that chance. And certainly this man, Diego Dabove, after one game in charge, a 1-1 draw against Racing last time out, another one of the giants of Argentinian football, he'll be hoping once again to maybe even at the least just do the same again and slow the momentum, pick up a point, which would be a big point for Instituto here at the Monumental.
It certainly would. When you look at Instituto, recently promoted, they are currently in 27th place in the averages table, the promedios as they say in Argentina. The only team keeping them from the bottom is Arsenal. So points are very important even early on in the Argentine League season. Although we are almost done with the Liga Profesional, we still have the second half of the Copa de la Liga. And Diego Dabove, former Huracan manager, heartbreaking loss for Huracan in terms of the third round of the Libertadores against Sporting Cristal, and now a few weeks later let go by El Globo, and now has taken over La Gloria, trying to keep them from going down to the second division. And they were able to win against Racing, as you mentioned, Peter, at the Estadio Presidente Perón, against a team who also has a stadium name, Presidente Perón, as well. So not a little confusing, because one is in Cordoba, one is in Avellaneda. And Martin Demichelis, the former Bayern Munich man who came over from the Bayern Munich youth system, hasn't changed much from what Gallardo has done, and River Plate still on the right track. We look at the referees for this encounter. The man in charge with the whistle in the card is Hernan Mastrangelo, assisted by Maximiliano Del Yeso, Maximiliano Castelli, and Sebastian Zunino on the pitch. And then in the VAR room, it is Hector Paleta and Salome Diorio. We will see if VAR has any impact on this matchup. We know that Lucas Beltran will certainly have an impact in this matchup, the top goal scorer for River Plate this season. On the right, the captain of Los Millonarios, Franco Armani. On the left, the captain of La Gloria, Fernando Alarcón. And we'll flip the coin to decide who will get the ball first and where, which way they will be attacking. And that might be the only time they exchange pleasantries in this encounter.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test, this, for Instituto. And as you say, just even working Franco Armani could be difficult, given how well River have been going. Franco Armani, of course, one of the historic players at the club since he arrived back in 2018, a Libertadores winner, and really one of the supporters' firm favourites here because of that strong tie to the club over those years. However, he has been in for criticism, mainly in the media, in the last month or so, due to a few mistakes, particularly in the Copa Libertadores, where they haven't looked quite so impressive. And supporters, particularly back here at the Monumental each time they've played, have responded and thrown a lot of support behind Franco Armani. The thing for Instituto, of course, today will be how much pressure can they put him under when he's under that kind of scrutiny, and that will be something to be looking out for tonight.
Yeah, it certainly will fall on Franco Watson, Adrian Martinez, and Santiago Rodriguez. Those are the three attacking players up top for Instituto, a club that has struggled to score goals this season. Adrian Martinez is the team's leading goal scorer with 7. That's almost half of the team's goals they've scored this season. They've scored 16. Adrian Martinez has scored 7. So if River Plate managed to neutralize him with those two center backs and Leandro Gonzalez Pires and the Chilean Paulo Diaz, it could be another victory for River Plate. We will see what happens over the next 90 minutes, as we are just a few seconds away from kickoff. in what is always the festive atmosphere. And I have to say, Peter, these new renovations at Mas Monumental make it look a lot better than it used to, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. When you consider how far away supporters were from the pitch a few years ago, it was always the complaint with Echeverri finding that third goal.
3-1 is the final for River Plate. We leave it to Peter for the post